Y'all aren't gonna believe me, but this episode of Kingdom was the best of the season by far. Nah, I'm just kidding. Last week's episode was definitely better, but this one was still solid. It was just more of a setup episode with some interesting developments. Like the scene where Ousen cooks up a strategy on the spot for conquering a castle that he is sitting right in front of. There was also a bit of cut content this week, but I'll talk more about that later in the video. Now, although this Yotama scene is the most important thing to happen in this episode, like I have nothing else to say, it's just the most important thing to happen in this episode. She is easily the hottest character in all of Kingdom. Every time I look at her, I feel like Shin, because like Oki's glaive, I simply cannot handle all that. Neither can Kanto when it comes to the battlefield. Having set up camp in Retsubi, the Heishin unit are now celebrating their victory while Kanto crashes out. It was kind of funny because he did choke, while the most unlikely duo, the Ton brothers, actually performed, rightfully earning himself the nickname of All Talk Kanto. That's tough. Who else but Shueisha steps in to calm Kanto down with the most unked move, slapping him in the back of the head, perhaps only out-unked by his next action, bringing out the henny. The way he acts is a huge reason why Shueisha is loved by so many Kingdom fans. He is a great mentor for the youngins, and it shows when he says staying alive is already an achievement. Another reason why Shueisha is so loved is because Unk keeps it real. When Sugen tries to act all nonchalant for saving Kanto, Shueisha exposes his ass. Sugen in his very first battle not only pissed himself, but in the manga it is revealed that he did not cut down a single enemy. I was a bit bummed that this part was cut out because Kanto would have related to that, and it fleshes out Shueisha that little bit more as an empathetic mentor. The manga then shows Kanto questioning whether Shin had the same type of first battle. He could not be more wrong. Bihei starts glazing, but it's valid. Shin single-handedly broke a wave formation, destroyed one of their famed armored war chariots, and even slayed one of their generals all in one battle. Not to mention his first, resulting in Shin earning the rank of 100-man commander, I say again, after a single battle. Shin's been him since the start, which is why although Shueisha may see Shin as his dumb little brother, he is sure that there is no one more badass or inspiring than him. This part being cut out was really lame only because it is a discredit to Shueisha when these little nuances no longer exist in the anime. It's stuff like this that makes the manga community love him so much. I thought it was hilarious when Bihei was mentioning the highly loved brothers that newly joined the Heishin unit, and the Ton brothers thought he was talking about them. Though they did do great, the Bow Bros were obviously the stars of the show. More so, Jian was the star of the show. It's only mentioned in the manga, but Jian continues shooting down Zhao soldiers even after Bajie made it onto the wall. He went through 3 entire quivers, and rumors have it that every arrow Jian shot resulted in a Zhao life being taken. What a badass. I can't lie, it's supposed to be a sad moment, but Tan crying his eyes out is something he can't ask for. He did not perform, and Jian slapped the crap out of him. That's tough, but it's funny. It sucks because now Jin's all sad, when really he should be celebrating his victory. Ten says it best, he might see himself as a weakling, but Jian did better than anyone else in the unit. I really enjoyed this scene because of Ten's sentiment. Weakness isn't necessarily bad, it is just proof that you can grow stronger. Also, this little part was left out of the anime where Ten talks about fear, that even though it is something that you grow used to, it doesn't mean that it ever completely goes away. That's real, that's human. Life isn't about finding that one absolute fix. Also, Jian was getting rizzy. Or might I say, Ten was getting rizzy. Slightly. She then makes her way to the main camp only to find out that Ousen disappeared. He's just gone, without any sign. Imagine he did a Sanyo and just abandoned the battle. Anyway, Ten and one of the soldiers are arguing away until best girl Yotanwa steps in and asks if that was really all Ousen had to say. And everyone was speechless, mesmerized. But I can't blame him, they're just like me, better than me. She's probably wondering, is anyone gonna answer me? 2 days later, Kanki is seen arriving at a strategy meeting with 4 more people than expected. My man was trying to smash, but Yotama blueballed him. That's the only thing I can think of from the way he reacted. Also, Shin and Ohon fighting over seats like their kids at school was pretty funny too. Now onto the juicy part of the episode. Retsubi was built to be weak on purpose, built with the idea that it would be hard to defend. Without giving it much thought, it seems so stupid that Gyou would make their national gate so weak, but Ohon brings up a great point. If Retsubi was strong and fell to the enemy, it would be damn near impossible to take it back. So instead of making it a Kenkoku pass, Riboku decided he would use his own capital as bait, retake the purposely weak Retsubi to then surround them from all sides, using the Yellow River to the south as a natural blockade. He's a genius. There goes Shoheiken's entire strategy. Without a secure supply line, or in other words, without holding Retsubi, Retsubi, there's no hope. Moten then lays out two strategies, leaving more soldiers behind in Retsubi than planned. But that would mean less soldiers to siege Gyou, no can do. Or upgrading Retsubi so that it can handle a siege of its own, but then there would be no point in having a time advantage against Riboku. This brings us to our third and final option. We go home, or so we thought. Kunki being Kunki says, why isn't there a fourth option? These youngins ain't got nothing on me. Why don't we abandon Retsubi altogether and come crashing down on Gyou with every last resource that we have? Moten thinks it's crazy, and we do too, until Kunki makes it clear to us that is why Ousen disappeared in the first place. Wow. It then cuts to Ousen arriving at Gyou to indeed see if this fourth option can be done. I must say, Gyou looks freaking awesome. The massive walls, the watchtower, the moat, the sheer size ports, all of it. In Ousen's words, it is perfect. It is the perfect castle and cannot be conquered. Well, there goes the fourth option. But for some reason, Ousen has not given up. Who's to say there isn't a fifth option? This then leads to quite literally one of the best aura farming moments in Kingdom. Looking at a map of Zhao's capital region, Ousen is cooking up a new strategy on the spot. He is sitting right outside the castle that he wants to claim. That's an unmatched level of badassery. Zhao soldiers then find Ousen's group, who then gives Ako the lob of the century by saying, will that be an issue? To which Ako responds, please take as long as you need. The amount of aura farming is just shameless at this point. The only negative thing I have to say about this scene is that the scale is a little off. I like the manga version better because the entire map can be seen in front of Ousen and the slaughter is happening around him, not blocking damn near half the screen. Having cooked up his plan, Ousen returns to Retsubi with interesting news. The entire Qin army will move past Retsubi according to Ousen's strategy. There we have it. It is now a battle of wits between Ousen and Riboku. Shueisha is officially on fraud watch. Shifting to Riboku, he can't believe Ousen's decision to continue on, despite knowing Retsubi's weakness. The same man that cooked up such an unorthodox defensive strategy doesn't know what Ousen's thinking. It's getting spicy. So it looks like the real part of the war is about to begin, and that means reactions from other kingdoms. The anime doesn't show us any, except for Karen glazing Riboku. It's not a huge deal, but I would have loved to see Gahome glazing Riboku in this episode. I know it sounds weird, but it is one of my favorite running gags in the manga. If Ousen's stocks weren't already skyrocketing, Kunki just makes them rise even more. One thing that he knows for sure is that bastard Ousen never starts a war that he'll lose. And so we begin. Yotama splits off from the main allied army first, with her matchup being against Kosan Ryu. Bonus marks for the anime. They actually show us Yotama putting her mask on. I love it. That's a treat. And the manga didn't do it. Another tiny moment cut up from the anime was Shin seeing Bajie and Tajifu off before splitting up. They go way back, so I'm sure a few seconds of this would have been cool to see. These kind of moments do matter to me. Just when we thought the entire Qin army was now on borrowed time and needed to siege Gyou as soon as possible, Ousen suddenly takes the scenic route, choosing to siege a castle completely out of the way. What on earth could he be thinking? Next week's episode has to be one of the most important Kingdom episodes of all time. Anyway, if you made it to the end, thank you for tuning in. Let me know what you guys thought of this week's episode in the comment section below. Also, it would mean a lot to me if you guys left a like, share this video with a friend, and subscribe for another Kingdom video next week.